Hello and welcome to today's English lesson. My name is Stuart. In today's lesson, we're going to look at words that we use when we talk about employment in English. Let's go to the intro. Now, as I said, today's lesson is looking at this topic here, which is employment. And most likely you are currently employed, or you will be in the future. You will be looking for a job, or you will be looking for employment. And all of these words here we can use to talk about this particular topic. Now we're going to look at the different types of employment, some of the words you can call yourself when you are employed, but all of these words will come in handy for you if you're going into the job market, or even if you have to have an exam in English where you need to talk about this topic. So we're going to start off with the types of employment. Now, these are the types of employment that we have in Australia and most likely in other English-speaking countries as well. You have full-time employment, part-time employment, casual employment, fixed-term or contract employment. Now, as the name does suggest, full-time employment means that you work the whole week, okay? Depending on the country that you're in, the majority of places are probably between 38 and 40 hours a week. Could be considered full-time employment. Part-time employment means that you're working not full-time, obviously, you're only working part of the time, maybe 12 hours a week, maybe 20 hours a week, maybe 18, but you're not spending all of your time in the office or at the job. You're working part-time. And the next one is casual. Casual meaning that it's not regular, okay? You don't have regular employment, it's just something casual. Maybe you work one day a month in one place, one day a month in another, one day a week here, another place there. You don't have anything fixed or anything permanent, so it's called casual work. Fixed term or contract work, sometimes you're working for a fixed period of time, a fixed term. Maybe it's 2 years, maybe it's 1 year, maybe it's 9 months. A fixed term, maybe it's longer. Maybe it's a contract as well. Your contract is for 5 years and then the contract is terminated or renewed depending on the conditions of the job. So fixed term or contract. Now, people can be self-employed. That means that you are responsible for finding your own work. It means that you don't work for another person or another company, okay? You're responsible for finding your own employment, so you are self-employed. Maybe you are freelance, meaning that you move from one job to another. Sometimes if you are maybe working in IT, computers, you could be a freelance worker. You move from different places doing different jobs, perhaps on a contract. Maybe you are a subcontractor. A subcontractor, normally in the building industry in Australia, there's a lot of subcontractors, people that are subcontracted to do a specific task or job, maybe a plumber, electrician, bricklayer, etc. Could be a subcontractor, maybe even a cleaner nowadays. You could have a subcontractor cleaning service. Trainee, somebody who is getting experience in a company, is known as a trainee, normally for a short period of time, maybe 3, 6, 9 months, 1 year. You work as a trainee. You might get a small salary, you might not get a small salary. It depends on the conditions. And then the other example here is an apprentice. An apprentice, when I was coming into the labour market, a lot of people did apprenticeships, meaning that they got a trade. So they became, as I said before, an electrician. They became a plumber. They did some other type of apprenticeship, maybe a baker, an apprentice baker, where they learnt a trade, started to work to get the experience necessary, normally at a very low salary in the beginning, because you're working to get the experience in the job So you do your apprenticeship and you are an apprentice. And of course, there was a famous television show with Donald Trump in the States, Alan Sugar, I think, in the UK, that was called The Apprentice. Now, employment can be divided into two types. Historically, we talk about blue-collar work or white-collar work. Blue-collar meaning that it's more labor-orientated, white-collar more professional. Let's say maybe you're working in an office, some type of managerial position, maybe administrative. You are a white-collar worker. Blue-collar work, obviously, as I said before, building work, blue-collar, something where there's more manual labor involved, okay? You can be skilled or unskilled. So we call that skilled or unskilled employment. A skilled employment that you've got some type of qualification or you've done a course where you have a little bit of expertise in the thing that you are doing, or unskilled where there's no skill required to do the job. So maybe, I don't know, a job where you just have to put paper into a box or something could be considered unskilled. We also have semi-skilled, which is a mix between the two, between unskilled and skilled, semi-skilled. And then, of course, we have professional. And we also have this one here, creative. You hear this quite a lot nowadays, talking about creatives and creative employment, people that are making things, designing things, developing things, called creatives. Now, your employment could be in an office, you could have a desk job, you could be desk bound, you could also have shift work or shift employment, we could say, where you work different times of the day according to the week, okay? So maybe a police officer, doctor, nurse, etc. One of these jobs which has 24-hour service can be divided into shift work. You can have the morning shift, the afternoon shift, the night shift. We also call that in English the graveyard shift. So if you work from 10 o'clock in the evening or 10 o'clock at night through to 6 o'clock in the morning, the night shift or the graveyard shift, because depending on what you do, it could be quiet on that particular shift. Now, if you are unlucky in the fact that you don't have a job, you are jobless or unemployed. Now, some places have higher unemployment levels than others. Where I come from, unemployment historically is fairly low. It's not difficult to get a job. Of course, it's difficult to get a good job, but to get a job, it's not that difficult. So unemployment rates or employment rates are quite high. If you're looking for work, you are a job seeker. You are looking for work. You are seeking work. You're a job seeker. Maybe you're working for a company and the company no longer needs you and you are made redundant. And if you're lucky, you can get a redundancy package where the company might give you some money to help you find another job or to help you in the time that you need to find another job. So you're made redundant, and if you're lucky, you can get a redundancy package. We can also, if you lose your job, you can say that you got fired or you have been fired, or you can get the sack, or the company can give you the sack. Okay, those two words, a little bit informal, but very common to hear these words, to get fired or to get the sack. Now, if you go to a country and you don't have the permission to work in that country, which is quite common with people that come into Europe, or they come to Australia, or they come to the USA or Canada or other countries, and they don't have the necessary permission to work, they are called undocumented workers or illegal workers. Now, I remember many years ago in Australia, there were a lot of people coming in on holiday visas from, I'll talk about the UK, for example, and they work for a period of time, and then their work visa expires, but they continue to live in the country, they become undocumented workers or they become illegal workers. And I know the case of 2 or 3 people that were caught working illegally in Australia. And of course, sometimes the penalties can be quite high, or at least you're not allowed to go back to the country for a long time if you get caught working illegally or without documentation. So that's also a dilemma for a lot of people that are coming from countries where the labor market is not very good, where there's not a lot of opportunity, and they come to a country where there is. They don't have the necessary papers in order, so they unfortunately become undocumented or illegal workers. But all of these words here we can use when we talk about employment in English. Now, thank you very much for watching the lesson. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the section below. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. I'll see you in the next English video lesson. Share the video with your friends and colleagues, please. See you later.